Broadcasting live, this is the Handicappers Report, brought to you by the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
To the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrow. I am Anthony Mormino, and I know March is, not one of those times that we think too much, but this might be like one of the great weekends in sports. I mean, I know most people are consumed by the NFL, etc., and baseball starting.
NCAA.
But yeah, you and I love college hoops. There are no number ones left. They're all gone. If you didn't watch it last night, my goodness, San Diego State. I mean, incredible. And maybe I don't know, besides St. Peter's last year, Florida Atlantic. And somebody put on Twitter last night a list of 5 schools that I cannot give you. I know Creighton was on that list. There is going to be a team in the Final Four based on the brackets that not too many people suspected. Now, I know there have been no brackets left since the first weekend, so that was all gone. But now to what we do here. I know it's March, but what an incredible day in horse racing. We have the Dubai World Cup for you, a big day at Turfway. We can't get it all in. Seth's going to do fairgrounds. They have 15 races, and yes, you heard me correctly, 15. That's a 1 with a 5. I kid you not. You could almost have all 3 meals while watching the fairgrounds course today. Thank you.
Right.
I have the Big A, which doesn't have a stakes race. And talking with my director beforehand, Seth, I was trying to think of the number of Saturdays that in my lifetime NYRA has had a stakes. And I said, well, a couple times we haven't filled the entry box. But Dan was saying, and I've said this for years, the guys that produce this show and direct the show, they're horse racing fans. He said they ran the Eastview yesterday.
I will say it is claiming championship day at NYRA because when I saw no stakes, I thought, well, did something not get in? And then so there's a bunch of starter allowance races that are on this claiming championship day card. And if you actually look up, and I went and looked up in the condition book, they have names, but because of
the daily racing form didn't get that.
Yeah,
memo.
These claiming days, they don't typically do put them in, but
the claiming Crown Day they do, and we were saying
that President's Day
we were saying years ago that when those races came back, they only came back as the name, which might lead somebody that doesn't follow the sport closely, that it was a stakes race of open conditions, and we used to say how they should put an R or something to let the people know. But if you love sports and particularly horse racing, boy, it's hard for me to imagine. We were saying this might be the best day of the year. I mean, you have 2 United States tracks having big days, and you have the Dubai World Cup. And I was just thinking that earlier that imagine if Country Grammar wins.
Probably the most underrated $14 million winner.
And I said to people, a lot of times when you win by a large margin, honestly, it's because what's behind you. And if it comes to bear that Flightline beat a $20 million horse by 20 lengths, it's kind of unbelievable. But, buckle on. Now, I did not notice. You told me 8:05 our time, they're wrapping up. What time does Fairgrounds kick off there?
Noon their time, 1 our time.
All right, so that's somewhat reasonable. I guess you couldn't even have, you could have brunch.
You could brunch it.
Brunch. But, I mean, there are very few people who love being at the racetrack more than me. But I got to tell you, Seth, 15 races, they would – and here's the thing. Years ago, I used to think that Fairgrounds closed today. But they do run tomorrow.
One more day.
Who's coming back tomorrow? It's like 15 races. I don't think we've ever seen that at NYRA, right? What do they run Belmont Stakes Day?
15.
You think they run 15?
Is on unless you're talking Delaware County Fair. That's
yeah. In Ohio, by the way, not in this. But a great day of racing. We have 2 races for
and let
you.
me just touch on the NCAA
yes.
before you move on.
Okay.
Because that Gonzaga game the other day was like an instant classic.
Yes.
That was just the last minute was incredible. But I'll also go back. I think it was Monday night on the women's side of things, the Miami game, Miami playing at Indiana. That was a fabulous game too. So it's just the last week and a half on the NCAA.
Those are bigger upsets because
You're
with the women's tournament right now, as they are gaining momentum and popularity, to me, it's not fair. I know why they do it, but they should not have to go to Indiana's home court to play. The NCAAs did it for years, and they finally said, well, we can't have this. The men's, I should say. And here's one other one that your partner in the summertime will get. Yesterday in college hockey, now they skip. After they get their Frozen Four, they skip a week because of the men's basketball. Then they play. Yesterday might have been, I love college hockey, the least competitive championship round I've ever seen. The games were like, I was going to write them down, 8-0, 11-1. These are the NCAAs, basically the quarterfinals. And our man Steve Bick's team got beat 11-1. This isn't like opening weekend exhibitions. This is the NCAAs. Michigan beat Colgate 11-1. I think Ohio State beat Penn State 8-0. The game that the ECAC, they sent Colgate, they sent Harvard, and they sent Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac's game was 5-0. There wasn't a competitive game yesterday. Very odd, I thought, at that level that there was no equilibrium for talent. But crazy day. We, as I was saying, internally to this show, we're going to have 2 races in about 10 minutes. And then about 30 minutes after that, we're going to get that to you, obviously. And the pictures are so beautiful from halfway around the world.
I also should alert people programming notes so people are tuned in on Friday morning, but we'll be live from Gulfstream next week. So we'll have programming Friday morning and Saturday morning live from Gulfstream. Friday morning we'll be on at 8:30, and Saturday morning we'll be on at 8 o'clock.
They gave me the day off. I was thinking about flying down to see you and Brian, and my wife gave – yeah, right up until the wife gave me the look, which meant I won't be doing it. April 1st. So, but it's always so this so that's good. I always look forward to that. You and it's always nice. They always take care of you down there. And
they're great. They're great down there.
Big thing. And I've said this census, Sean took a shot when he moved the Florida Derby, when he didn't want it to be a prep for the prep, and he was right. Yeah. It's one of the premier races in America.
I was saying that to somebody. I was playing basketball yesterday, and a couple of people I play with are racing fans. And I was saying, the Florida Derby, it used to be you'd run the Florida Derby, and then there'd be another one in between. I said, not these days. No. The Florida Derby, they'll be on their way to the.
And he was right where he plotted it like 5 or 6 weeks out, and people thought that was crazy. No one will go directly from the Derby, etc. But he was right. You ready for 15?
I'm ready.
A couple in before this is. I want to thank Dan for giving you the picture-in-picture or the side-by-side, etc. for our fans. But I've said it before, and I know COVID slowed a lot of us down, Seth. But and I think my wife would sign on for this. I have to go to this someday. I mean, this looks about as good as it gets. I know it's easy when you have all the money in the world, but it still looks like one of the great sporting venues to be at. So, I mean, I have to... and I think Denise would sign up and on for that. Even the little guy might be like, is there a third chair coming in? But it looks spectacular. So we'll have that for you. Let's kick it off. 15 races on the card, kicking it off with Louisiana breds in the Crescent City Derby.
I'm 3-5-1-8 up with I don't Venmo on top, and I don't Venmo. I PayPal, but I don't Venmo. But this one coming out of a nice win on the turf last time. So the career may be headed more towards the turf, but you got $100,000 up for grabs, and the dirt races, they're okay. And I think they fit with these. I'm looking more at the last race. Though, as the horse maybe just having broken through, and we'll move forward. Joe Rosario in town, and he'll be on board to ride. Boy, he was in New York yesterday on the Bill Parcells runner, making the comeback. Maple Leaf Mel.
One quick thing. We said this about this, and I think Coach said it last year when he was interviewed at Saratoga. I think that was a Timonium sale for him. He said, I think he went down and he got at least 2 horses from the Timonium sale, which, is a smaller one, let's say. And I've always wanted to go down for their racing but they won't run Monday or Tuesdays anymore. But I think he picked that up at a Timonium sale. And
He had that really nice Saratoga with the 2-year-olds, and Maple Leaf Mel was one of those. I didn't see the number. I meant to look it up this morning, but she looked really good in the 3-year-old debut. So a nice little New York bred. You got all kinds of opportunities.
Coach.
So I don't Venmo on top. And again, Joel Rosario on board. Second spot, All Night Moonlight, comes out of a nice little stakes win. Most recently, the Maiden Breaker was 2 back and then stepped right into a stakes race. So that's always a tough move. And understandably, off of those is the 9-5 morning line favorite. And we'll certainly take plenty of action. And Benoit in the third spot was behind All Night Moonlight last time, ran second in that little stakes race. But again, notable that those two already with some stakes experience under the belt. In the opener at the fairgrounds on this big day, 3-5, 1-8.
On to the second 3-year-olds, maiden special weights, going 6.
4, 5, 2, and 1. Castle Warden on top. Brad Cox runner. Buy into Mischief automatically. I'm going to be attracted with the connections, the nature and nurture, so to speak. Into Mischief on top, but the dam produced a couple of win early types. One called Laurel River, 5th, and then one in the second start. And then another one called Lagoon Falls, won the first 2 starts of the career. So there's win early all over this Juddmonte runner. We'll put Castle Warden on top. King's Glory in the second spot. Steve Asmussen, runner by Speightstown, ran 4th in debut. But we all know the Asmussen runners tend to show some improvement second time out. I will also note they debuted in a rich maiden race up at Saratoga and finished 4th behind Verifying, who's turned out to be a nice one. So again, these are the kind that lightly raced 2-year-olds get some time off, come back as 3-year-olds. Often they come back improved, and I think a couple of workouts signal that may be the case for this one. And then Billy Jack, a first-timer from Steve Asmussen. There was a sibling called Sweeping Pode, Pade, 3rd, and then 1, and another sibling called Pico Entry, 7th, and then 1. I will say for both of those horses, the wins were on the turf. So this may be one that will be aimed at another surface moving forward, but I thought might be a little bit intriguing this afternoon in the second of fairgrounds, 4, 5, 2, and 1.
And it looks like we can get one more in. On the third race, the female accompaniment, the Louisiana Breds in the Crescent City Oaks.
2, 4, 7, and 1. Free drop Maddie on top. Just look at the most experienced. This one has 8 starts or a couple with 9. But has shown some nice ability. Stakes winner, stakes placed, stakes winner, multiple stakes winner, and has a lot of early speed. Raylu Gutierrez on board, the upstate New York native who's having a really nice meet down there. Has been on board for the last few starts, including a couple of those stakes wins. Has a lot of early speed. I think this will be a catch me if you can scenario again today. Guitar Woman in the second slot. Won 2 starts back, won 3 starts back, broke the maiden, went through the first non-winners condition, and then tried Stakes Company last time, finishing behind Free Drop Maddie. But I think with that stakes experience under the belt, could be tougher today. And New Destiny in the third spot. Similar scenario, 1, 2 back, and then was behind Free Drop Maddie in the stake last time. Should benefit from that in the third at Fairgrounds. 2, 4, 7, and 1.
Do you want to try and get one more in as they are
I'll
patrolling
watch
around?
Make sure I get it.
All right. Onto the turf, dashing 5.5 in the Costa Rising.
10, 1, 9, and 7. 10 is the first horse on the AE list, so you have to look for scratches. But the Mark Cassie runner with Brian Hernandez on board has a lot of early speed, will be well meant from the get-go, obviously. And if that one scratches in, I'll tilt in that direction. Second spot, Yankee 7. This one, the other side of the starting gate, leaves from the 1 post position. Another one with some early speed. Ran a good third in the open Colonel Power last time. Now gets back in against State Breds, and off of that race seemed worth taking a look at. And Braun and Brow, another Mark Cassie runner, Raylu Gutierrez on board, comes in with a string of 2 stakes wins in the last couple of starts, 3 wins overall. Likely to be the one that takes the action, however. In the fourth, I have it 10, 1, 9, and 7.
Do you want to roll the dice?
Yeah, they are still circling around.
All right. On to the fifth. Optional claimers, 3-year-old fillies on the dirt going a mile and a 16.
6, 9, 5, and 1. Number 6, Merlaza. A couple of starts so far for Brad Cox, and they were both pretty good. A close-up second and a nice win off of the win. I think this horse, always tough to step in the next condition, but I think we'll make it work. Huntley in the second spot, broke the maiden two back, got a little experience at this level last time and maybe benefits from that. And Bruna Boni, or yeah, I guess that I'll go with that pronunciation. Nice little second place finish in similar company last time. Probably bodes well for this afternoon in the fairgrounds. 5th, 6, 9, 5, and 1.
And we'll take you to Dubai. Now I was thinking, his senior
that have raced closest to the stands rail, who prevailed all carnival racing. Who's going to win? Well, I think Alsa Hale's the best horse in the race, but he's got a lot against him. I'm with Sight Success from his high drawing 13 for Ryan Moore.
Sight Success, no bend, will he stay?
Yeah, I think he'll be all right under Ryan. The track record 107.61. Keep an eye on that. It was Wildman Jack who set that a few years ago.
I'm with Ladies Church.
Ladies Church, okay. Aldassin, the 3-year-old, how will he go in what is his deepest test of his young career so far in the Alquoz Sprint, about to unfold under the gaze of Larry Colmes.
In line. They're off in the Alquoz Sprint, sponsored by Azizi Developments. It was a good start for Aldassim in between horses, who goes right out and now will sit back right off the leaders as Bikias will set the pace. Bikias to the front as the field races out of this long 6 furlong chute. Bikias on top, a length and a half. The Astrologist on the inside is right there in early contention as they race down that chute. So these two are 1-2, and on the extreme outside is Flaming Rib, who's close up to the pace as well. So Mikias the leader with about 3 furlongs to go here, on top by about a length and a half here. Mikias from the Astrologist. Happy Romance is down on the inside. El Suhail is right there too. And farther out and moving up is Duke Y from Hong Kong. It is still wide open here. El Suhail, Happy Romance, the Astrologist from Australia. Duke Y on the outside. They're coming down toward the final 16th. It's El Suhail with a slight lead. Duke Y on the outside. The Astrologist flashing home outside of them. They're coming down to the finish, and it is going to be a photo finish, and it was very close on the wire. I think Danya ended up getting there in the last strides to win the Alquoz Sprint.
A shock in the Alquoz Sprint. Danya for local trainer Musaba Al-Mahiri and Dane O'Neill have taken the prize. My goodness, the race had a few different scenarios played out in that final furlong and a half, but it is Danya in the colours of Shadwell who has come home under Dane O'Neill to take it. The Astrologist always there in the closing stages. Daniel wins. Al Suhail came cruising on the bridle, was just run out of it. And Sight Success down this near side ahead of Duke Y back in 4th. An extraordinary sprint.
It was compelling to watch. Al Suhail, as you said, Angus, he would travel like the best horse. He did travel like the best horse, but he probably travelled into the race too early, even for a 7 furlong.
Fans, Shadwell wins. I think the home team ran 3rd, and it just goes to show you, no matter how much money you have, we still can't get the camera on the finish line. Yeah. It's like, how do these people? I'm guessing Emirates runs 3rd in that, but it's just a guess. But Shadwell, Familiar Silks United States, that used to be Karen McLaughlin's big owner. They definitely get the money, and I think Godolphin, runs 3rd in that, but we just can't quite get the idea of the camera perpendicular to the line. But maybe the next track they build.
Yeah, well, I've been talking about that slow-mo camera on the line for years.
I don't
some
get it.
Tracks have picked up, but I will say they get the money, and you get the money as well. If you have
it's going to be big?
68-1.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh boy, that's like that year that the centennial running of the Louisiana Derby didn't come back $100. I think it did. I think it was the 100th running, maybe the 99th, but I thought it was the 100th. But Shadwell and I think Godolphin runs 3rd. I don't know who split them, but obviously hold all tickets, especially if you're holding the winner at nearly 70 to 1.
Yikes.
All right, we're up to the 6th race of the 15 race card at the fairgrounds. 3-year-old fillies, maiden special weights, going 6.
5, 12, 3, and 8. Another fun little maiden special, and as is typical on these days with this time of year with the big 3-year-old stake on the card. You have some nice 3-year-old maiden races. This one for the 3-year-old fillies, and of course, there's a big 3-year-old filly stake on the card today too. But Twin Mischief on top. Another Into Mischief runner, Steve Asmussen trains. This was an Asmussen runner that ran second in debut behind the talented Chocolate Gelato. There's a lone racing sibling to this one, American Monarch. That horse won its debut. So Into Mischief now with the race under the belt. Oh, this is another one that started at Saratoga last summer and has been off since, and comes out of, again, Chocolate Gelato, a nice race up at Saratoga. So could come back as an improved 3-year-old for Asmussen. Twin Mischief on top. Second slot will go out to Angora Deb, the number 12 horse. A couple of siblings to note: Sweet 17, 1, second, then 1. So first 5 starts of the career, 3 wins in a couple seconds. Another sibling called Golden Passage, 2 wins in the first 4 career starts. So I thought there was some win early from the dam, but on top, Violence. And if you watch enough, I like Violence quite a bit as a sire of debut runners. And then number 3, Golden View, second-time starter from Golden Sense, another win early sire. This one showed some punch early before fading a little bit in the debut. Z-Watt, the sibling, won the first couple of starts of the career and won 4 out of the first 6, and that included 3 stakes wins. Another sibling called Henry Jenny won the career debut. So again, there's a win early, top and bottom. This one ran well in debut. Expect a good performance again today in the second start. Again, my top pick, we're looking at potentially 7-2. That's the morning line, and Golden View 8-1. Angora Deb 5-1. It's a nice 12-horse field. So I think you're going to get decent odds shopping around in this race. Fun race for me in the 6th. 5, 12, 3, and 8.
On to the 7th, 3-year-old fillies, maiden special weights, but they're going 1 mile and 16.
This one's a little bit of a puzzle. I went 2, 5, 8, and 7. Super Lux on top. They paid just under $250,000. Candy Ride filly from Steve Asmussen. A well-beaten 4th in debut, but had a little trouble there perhaps. And again, Asmussen horses can often improve nicely in the second career start. Joe Osario will hop on board this afternoon. So this one's a little bit intriguing. Graceful Union. Cherie DeVoe runner, she has one on the rail as well. That one I find a little bit intriguing also. But this one showed a little punch last time in the 3rd career start. Now, did it for a tag after stepping out of Maiden Special Company, moves back into Maiden Special Company. I'm going to kind of trust the connections to maybe being clever here and showing some confidence that hopefully is well warranted. So Graceful Union in the mix, and then dial her up. Decent little second place finish in debut. Again, in a maiden claiming race. So this one is a little more of a test on the move up. I will also trust these connections to be showing warranted confidence in here. But again, this race is kind of a puzzle. I could probably point to another 4 in here at least and have the same level of confidence. But in the 7th, for me, 2, 5, 8, and 7.
And on to the 8th race, we kick off the Open Company Stakes racing. And I tell you, through the years, I have learned how big a presence Tom Benson had in the city of New Orleans. I only knew him that he owned the New Orleans Saints that were really not very good team for much of his ownership, but apparently he was a big benefactor of the city of New Orleans, etc. And a couple of years ago, with his passing, they renamed the stakes race at the fairgrounds. So I'm guessing he was also must have liked the track also.
Oh, man,
you got to figure. Even if you're big in the city, but you don't like the track, we're not going to name a race after you. So the Tom Benson Memorial, my favorite, about 1 mile and 16th on the turf.
And then the question would be, if you owned racehorses, you'd have to look up, would they have been the Saints colors?
That would have been really good. Remember that team that had that owner that had my Rams colors a couple years ago? Just got nipped out in the ballerina.
I know.
Yeah. I've seen the Cubs Cubs things out there. They're not really allowed it on NYRA. They don't register those type of silks, but in the West, I've seen some. But I had the Rams old now logo on a bluish solid thing. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna look up that.
8th at the fairgrounds. I have it 4, 1, 8, and 2. This is another race that I think is very competitive. I'm going with Island Hideaway, Karl Broberg runner. Be interested to see it. Is Broberg with, again, I think a horse that matches up decently with this group. That's 15-1 on the morning line. Now, the numbers are maybe the recent numbers, the two numbers at the fairgrounds this season are a little light. But at Remington to end last year, I thought ran well enough to be in the mix with this group. So we're third start back. There are those back numbers. We're looking at 15-1. Christian Torres on board, who's riding well currently, doing it at Oaklawn, but ships in for this, and I thought that was intriguing. So I'll take a little pop here. And as I say, what I think is a competitive race, Island Hideaway on top. Adventuring in the second spot. This one's going to take a lot of action. Brad Cox trainee comes in from a second in the stake at Gulfstream Park. Nice string of stakes races on the resume underneath and good stakes performances. Lightly raced, however, over the past couple of seasons. So, yeah, I get it. 2-1 on the morning line. Will take action. Probably runs well. But again, I don't think invincible by any means. She Can't Sing in the third spot for me. Comes in off a Sam Houston Stakes race last time. Had the lead and then got caught and wound up, an okay third. Before that, however, won a stake at Churchill, the Chaluki, that I think bodes well. And again, you look down the page and there are races that are clearly good enough to mix it up with this bunch. But it's another race where I could probably say that about another 2 or 3 in here as well. Another race that's very competitive but has the potential to maybe offer up some value. Fairgrounds 8, 4, 1, 8, and 2.
And here you go. There's a picture. Boy.
Oh, there you go.
You can see the horns and the symbol had it. And
I like the hat.
And well, that's when you spend too much time at the racetrack. But she beat me out of a big price. Merrifield was the runner, and I need Baroness Thatcher in the ballerina about 15 years ago. And then she comes back and wins the Breeders' Cup. But I just showed Seth the cap was the Rams helmet and the jersey was on it. But that was a
very
tough
seldom
beat.
do you see the cap really kind of included in that. There are
Gene
unique
Klein had
logos.
him. Gene Klein had him for the Chargers. He had the lightning bolt. Up next, the 9th race, the New Orleans Classic, 1 mile and an 1/8 for 4-year-olds and up.
Yeah, I was trying to think as you were talking about the Rams silks. I was trying to think, the old Lucas guy, Gene Klein. Gene Klein, yeah.
Winning colors.
5, 8, 7, and 3 for me. I'm going to take a pop in here. Clearly, Art Collector is going to take all the action, and not all the action, a lot of the action. I'm leaving Art Collector out. That could be
stepping out.
Yeah, it could be a huge mistake. But I'm going to take a little pop with Rattle and Roll. And I'm just going to kind of trust Kenny McPeak. I'm going back to the Oklahoma Derby, where I've liked this horse for a while. I liked the horse in the 3-year-old season. I didn't quite live up to it, but did win the American Derby at Churchill, won the St. Louis Derby, and then won the Oklahoma Derby, and did it with a triple digit. Comes in off a couple of nice workouts, but I'm also going back to last week. I like Classic Causeway in the Essex. I thought had a chance to maybe take them all the way around. Had been on the turf for a while, get back to the dirt with some early speed, and he almost did it. He just couldn't hold up the late run from the now nice Lucas handicap runner, Last Samurai. But Classic Causeway I thought was clever. Classic Causeway came in with some good workouts. Rattle and Roll has been working very well. I'll take a little shot at an upset here. Pioneer of Medina coming in off the win in the Mine Shaft right here at Fairgrounds last time for Todd Pletcher, also in the mix. And then My Wireless, who was second to Pioneer of Medina last time. Coming out of the win in the Pegasus World Cup for Bill Mott, Art Collector, as I say, I may totally regret leaving that one out of the mix. The race is 2 and 3 starts back, though. One of them was the Charlestown Classic, and it was a win. But 2 back, the Lucas Classic at Churchill, faltered a little bit. Yeah, we'll see. It's another kind of fun competitive race, at least with the ones I named, and then Art Collector. But we shall see how it works out. I have it 5, 8, 7, and 3.
On to the 10th, the premier turf race of the meet 4-year-olds, and up about 1.125 miles, the Munez Memorial. Do you remember what this used to be called?
No,
The
because
Explosive
it has to be. Oh, really? It
Yeah.
has to have been this name for a while.
A while now,
Yeah.
but the Explosive Bid was one of the nicer turf horses to come out of New Orleans and run around the country. But
I'm a little more logical in here. I'm going to use the Pegasus Cup turf winner in here, Atone. Just seems in good form for Mike Maker. Won that, came out of a win, optional claiming win at Aqueduct just prior to that. So seems in good form and a logical player. Luis Saez on board today. 2 Emmys in the second spot. Nice positional early speed. Typically was out in front most of the way around last time to win the Fairgrounds right here on February 18th, and comes in obviously then in that good form. And then Joe Rosario hops on board Spooky Channel, who I think is an interesting player in here. Came back off a long layoff to run in December, and then followed up in January, a couple of stakes races right here at the Fairgrounds and over at Sam Houston. That Fairgrounds comebacker was a nice win. Ran well in the second start back at Sam Houston, but now the third start back and back to Fairgrounds, having won that race a couple of starts back, I think all adds up to making this one competitive as well. In the 10th at the Fairgrounds, 1, 6, 5, and 3.
and what was he, the racing secretary?
That's a good question. It
was
seems
he-
like
was
every
he-
year I ask those guys. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think he was he's either racing secretary or I think
That's-
the PR guy for the track, but I think he was the
That sounds
racing
right,
secretary, and I guess he was beloved. He was there a long, long time, and when he passed away, they renamed the race for him. Now on to the 2 big races annually, wrapping up the week, the wrap-up weekend at the Fairgrounds. Up first will be the 3-year-old fillies in the Fairground Oaks.
4, 3, and 5 for me. I'm surprised they only got 5 in here. It's a good 5, but you put up 400,000 in this time of year, you would think, and there's points, to the Oaks and whatnot. But I'm going to go with the Alley's Look, who comes out of the win in the Silver Bullet Day. I'm going to be intrigued to see how the betting public bets, this pretty mischievous, take the action. That's what the morning line says. I don't necessarily disagree with that. She comes out of the win in the Rachel Alexandra, ran a record to 4 for 5. And I'm going to be interested to see what the action is on Who's Your Filly, who came into that Rachel Alexandra last time with all the buzz, and people commented, we may have mentioned it here, the numbers certainly weren't jumping off the page for her, but I think just Tommy Amos had so much confidence.
I have to intercede here just for a moment. I think we're doing good on that. I thought about this a lot, and I believe this would hold up. You could ask guys like Andy Sterling, who's very much, he and Andy Beyer are very close friends. I don't think there's ever been a horse to capture as much attention with, I have to say, and I think this is complimentary, mediocre buyer speed figures.
Yeah.
I almost can't wait to see Andy this summer because he, like I said, he's very dialed into performance figures and how the upside of horse might be, but I cannot listen. I'd love to be two things. I'd love someone to show me a horse that was, and I've thought about this a lot. And the other is, if Tom has actually felt like they're wrong, like, no, I'm right that she's this good in these 70s and 80s.
That would be the interesting question.
Well,
I wonder,
you don't want to put him on the
does he
spot.
rely on those numbers? Well, no, you'd ask him. Yeah, I wouldn't ask him while he's sitting.
After we talk about the orange cone, we're not going to ask him about buyer speed figures. But and I'll tell you one thing: if she runs Midland today, yeesh.
And it is funny because other trainers have been high on horses as well, and I don't think folks. But and to point out,
talk about her in the Derby off 81s.
She was in the future, and she took action in that future pool a couple. But to put the numbers on the page here, the debut win at Churchill was a 76 buyer. She followed that up, and it is notable. And a daylight win by 7.5 in the Rags to Riches. But again, it was a 76 buyer. She comes back in the goldenrod. And again, it was a daylight win. And so there is, I suppose, visually, you can make a case, but it was an 81. So nice buyer
My
for
thing,
a 2-year-old.
and I have to say this about daylight wins and everything, maybe because I'm a guy who winning margin. That is, if you get a low performance figure and you win by a lot, that's more about what's behind you. I mean, that's, and obviously, now I've said it. I didn't know. I mean, I knew who he was, but I didn't know Tom Amos at all. But after doing the interview with him, I love him. I root for him and everything. I'm just trying to separate that from what I've talked about.
But she comes back then in the 3-year-old debut in the Rachel Alexandra field of 6. She goes off at 2-5, runs a well-beaten third with a 74 buyer. So comes back and the buyer regresses. So it's going to be very interesting to see where the betting public goes today and what she can do comeback. She's worked out very.
What they make her on the morning line?
2-1. She's co-second choice with the Alleys look. Pretty mischievous is 8-5 is the favorite. So I'm going to be interested to see how it shakes out and what she does because she's working well. I put her down in the 3rd spot, but again, I think it's an intriguing race. You know, it's a short field, but you have stakes winners from 2 of the earlier 3-year-old filly preps on this trail down at the fairgrounds, and let's see what Hoosier Philly can do in the second start of this season. So for me, though, in the Fairground Oaks, 4, 3, and 5.
And on the other side of that, I want to say, and I said this on the air about 5 years ago, Seth, was the 2-year-olds that I like are not the ones that run like the 91 or the 92 on debut, because I think the stats have shown through the years that's about the high watermark. I like the ones that debut and run like an 83, 84 in August and then have room to grow up.
You don't want the fastest horse in the world.
I don't. I think you see that. And on the other side of the entry box for number of entrants, the 12th race at 1 mile and 3/16 for a couple of years now, the Louisiana Derby.
So I'm going to see if Kenny McPeek can have a good day. I have it 4, 2, 10, and 6. And I will see, because I was in here doing.
I can't wait to see the betting.
OTB Live on the afternoon. Sun Thunder broke the maiden down at Oaklawn. And I said, Kenny McPeek, I think, may have this was a 2-year-old at the time. It was New Year's Eve. He may have a really nice little 3-year-old. And so I liked the horse at 14-1 in the Southwest and was a well-beaten 4th. And then I kind of jumped off last time, and the horse ran very well at 16-1 behind Angel of Empire in the Risen Star leading up to this race. The winner there was Angel of Empire. That one's headed to the Arkansas Derby. But Sun Thunder, to me now, 5th career start, series of improving buyers, a nice effort over the track. I'll put Sun Thunder on top. And as I say, tying that one in to the earlier rattle and roll, we'll see if Kenny McPeek can put together a nice afternoon. In the second slot, Instant Coffee, the logical contender in here. Hasn't been seen since winning the Lecomte for Brad Cox and Al Gold, his Gold Star. 3 for 4 in the career. Debuted up at Saratoga, looked very good winning that one. And as I say, won the Lecomte here last time. The 3rd place finisher there, confidence game, came back to win the Rebel in their next start. So flattered Instant Coffee. And Dennington, another Kenny McPeek runner, 4th in the Lecomte, but then came back and maybe got a little confidence builder, winning an optional claimer that might set this one up nicely at a 12-1 price. This is a nice, fun field, and there'll be, a few coming out of here that'll be intriguing heading to the Kentucky Derby. But 4, 2, 10, and 6.
And we haven't talked about it much. What are your thoughts on the 1 mile and 3/16?
I kind of like it because the question mark is always, you get to the Derby, who's going to get the trip? And you win at this distance, you got a pretty good idea of.
And I know he got put up, and he didn't win the league, but I liked Country House when he, and I've said this before. Country House did not deserve to be 60-1. He was 30-1 on the morning line. That was about the right price. So, it's not like I picked a crazy horse, in my opinion. Now, these are the 3 races that I think, no offense, they could have done without. I mean, it's just keeping the people there. Seth will go through these. Up first, Louisiana Breds, maiden special weights, going 6.
And I'll just quickly.
Race 13, by the way.
I'll hit on kind of just the top pick in these so we can move along. 5, 6, 3, and 7. The 5 is Malaki Empire, second-time starter. Luis Saez on board. Decent little 3rd place finish in debut by Star Guitar, who is a great Louisiana bred in his own right, but on the sire side of things has done okay as well. So 13th, 5, 6, 3, and 7.
14th, Louisiana breds, 4-year-olds and up. Optionals claimers going 6 also.
9, 8, 1, and 13. G Wildcat on top, comes in good form. Couple of thirds, 3 and 4 starts back, then a win. Claimed out of that. Ran second last time, claimed out of that. This trainer, okay off the claim, but comes in good form. Should compete again in the 14th, 9, 8, 1, and 13.
And coming up on my 25th anniversary of doing this, I don't know how many times I've said this, Seth. The 15th race, Louisiana bred 3-year-old fillies.
I would
As
think
Seth
on the
pointed out,
side of things,
8:05.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm trying to think, man. Maybe
No,
I've
I
never.
don't think so.
6, 3, 9, and 4. Vivi did it on top. This trainer has a very good stat first time out, and that attracted me, and some of the workouts were pretty good. I will say the trainer at Fairgrounds, I looked it up, and if you parse out Fairgrounds, where he's 35% overall with first-time starters, he's 1 for 15 the last 3 years at the Fairgrounds. So use that as you may. I still landed there. I thought the 8-1 for a trainer who has some ability, but again, at the Fairgrounds, maybe not as potent, but in the 15th, 6, 3, 9, and 4.
That wraps up the card at the Fairgrounds. I love this side-by-side for our viewers, so we're not talking over races. They're in the beautiful paddock there. I always like that paddock, the kind of the cobblestone look, because it doesn't wear out, but it has the nice greenery inside, etc. What a surprise they did that right down at Maidan. So
and just tossing out there, this upcoming race
UAS.
is the UAE Derby. So we're looking at
there
3-year-olds
again.
here.
You're talking about 3-year-olds. They still get the slot, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is
or points anyway,
points
right?
that are enough to get you in.
I'm just looking for Americans. G's is going for Doug O'Neill.
Yes.
The number 2, number 12,
Who
Tall
is in our
Boy.
picture.
Tall Boy is also a Doug O'Neill horse. The 12 and Worcester, the number 13, comes in off a third-place finish behind Newgate in the Bob Lewis 4, Bob Baffert. So American runners in here, 2, 12, and 13.
Doug O'Neill does one of the things that I don't like that horsemen use, which are all black blinkers, because if it's not easy to pick up. Now we're getting a great shot from the paddock, and they're zeroing in on him. You still have to look to go, oh, he has full blinkers on there, etc. No.
Oh, so they're black. You can't tell.
You can't. It's not an easy look up. You're like, oh, okay. Boom, boom, boom. Notation, and you move on. You're like, what do we got there?
No, you're right there.
Our director told us that today we can kind of just slide over to the Big A, which ran their stakes race yesterday. But Seth informs me that this is some type of not claiming crown, but claiming
championship day is the
claiming champions day.
8th year they've run this, $380,000 in purses, and obviously horses that have run in the past year for claiming tags will be in these starter allowances. All right, you ready?
I am. I mean, it's easy for me. I don't have 15 races today.
And we do have, just to update you, this UAE Derby, we're about 8 minutes away. And I'm just looking to see who the favorite is, the number 3, Cairo.
And I think for maybe our newer fans, you should realize there's no gambling on track. I mean, they don't wager on horse racing in Dubai. So this is
there is some kind of you can like make a bet to win a prize pack, a basket of goodies or something.
So basically fixed odds. There's fixed odds.
It, yeah. And I would have to
listen,
double check.
I cannot. This looks glorious, but
favorite currently though is Cairo, Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore on board, the number 3 horse. And I'm just looking. It looks like the Americans are.
You saw Ryan Moore gave away the watch, right?
Oh, I did not. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Americans are a little bit.
When somebody posted that, because he probably has enough, but the gesture was still nice. He gave it to the stable boy, I guess.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And somebody took a shot at that, like Longines should do. I go, stop. I'm like, listen, this is what it is. The owner, the trainer, they get it. And Ryan Moore decided, and I'm like I said, I'm sure Ryan has probably 15 of them And he just said, "Here, you take it. You have it." I think, which is nice.
All right.
One quick thing. A couple of years ago, Dodge gave away like a very expensive truck in the Triple Crown Series and I remember they gave it. They passed it off to the stable hand that was working with that horse specifically. I thought that was really grand because a truck is a mode of transportation, and that's very vital to somebody's livelihood. So.
Yeah, it was the points winner.
Yeah, and he said, "You take the truck,"
right.
and it was like a $90,000 truck then.
All right, claiming championship day. The opener is one of those races, and again, if you looked up in the condition book, this is called the Videogenic. They're all named after hard knocking.
Do you remember her?
Claimer. Yeah.
One of the best claims of Gaspar Marchero's life. Went on to win like $500,000 40 years ago. Jeez, she was fantastic.
Starter allowance, 7 furlongs the trip.
412 will kick it off for me, and alarm clock for Ray Handel. It's a $40,000 claim. Ray in the single digits for first off the claim, but this horse has been in sharp form. And the other thing I like is I think we're going to sit what's very important to me is a very good trip with early get up here, going 7/8 of a mile. I think Dylan Davis is going to get us in good position out of the gate. Melting Snow, who's 1-2. The race goes through her from the rail. Clearly the horse to beat, but once again, I mean, if you're talking about buyer speed figures, and my partner has said long before me how important they are, she's just a little bit faster than my top pick. And I think I'm going to receive all the better of it at the windows, but trying to go 4 for 5 lifetime at Aqueduct and for third, number 2. So 4-1-2. And ironically, talking about the old days, this would have been about the time we got off the inner and we're on the main going 7/8.
We may have that similar situation coming up
in the
future. Yeah.
It may return.
You mentioned how good Videogenic was as a claim, which made me think in my mind.
She went out to California. She won off the turf.
I don't know empirically, but anecdotally, the best claim of all time, and I just looked it up.
John Henry.
Okay, I was going to say Lava Man, and I looked up Lava Man. Lava Man went on to win $5 million. So John Henry, but it was a different purse, But Lava
one of them's in the Hall of Fame.
I looked it up.
And a 2-time horse of the year.
Lava Man was claimed 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. The 13th start of the career, they claimed him for $50,000 and went on to win.
Can you remember? I don't know. This is true. I probably should say. Can you remember the last horse of the year who was multiply able to be claimed?
No.
Charismatic.
Oh, well.
Charismatic ran twice for a tag before
like Turf Paradise or something, right?
Might be right there, but Charismatic was twice able to be claimed on that. By the way, one of the horses I voted for the Hall of Fame debuted for a tag.
There you go.
She's not getting in, by the way. Go ahead.
Second race today, 12-5 claimers going 7.
I thought you told me this race was going off at 9:45. All right.
9:50.
All right. 3-2-6, ladies and gentlemen. 3 Poppy's Pride. Gary Siaka, bagel, but it's a small operation, and I think this horse is live in here at what I think will be a very solid price in here, coming off of good hit the board efforts at 14-1 most recently. We're going to get close to that, I think, today for second. 4 to 5 on the morning line. I think I'm going to find time, Seth, to see what the early 1-2 double is in New York off 1-2 and 4 to 5 morning line. Buyer speed figures that tower over my top pick, and that's why you have my disparity in the first race is 1-2, 3-1. It's 4 to 5, 8-1 here, and there might be more separation than that because Print Track has much better buyer speed, towers over this entire field, and for third at a huge price, Stand Up, which will be a huge price because of the short price on the Deuce, who's breaking from the rail. 3-2-6.
Race number 3, and I'm just going to double check.
Go ahead.
And see. We still have a couple of minutes left. So
race
number 3, 16 conditional claimers, 16,000 conditional claimers, non-winners, a 2 lifetime, the 1-turn mile.
Well, if the feed is accurate, I'd say we have a long time.
Yeah,
they're on the dirt walking down.
Yeah, technically it's saying 2 minutes, but
8-4-6, Patrick the Great for Linda Rice, who is having. I mean, I know she won the Saratoga title a couple of years. Well, it's not a couple of years ago anymore, but a decade plus ago. But this meet has been incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I know that the win percentage is very important, but my goodness, she's had almost 100 of her 133 hit the board. Now, sometimes you run 24 horses, maybe 18, 19 hit the board, but she is firing with both barrels, and they're all running big. It's just, it's really probably her best meet ever. I mean, obviously winning the Saratoga title in PR is, but from a horseman standpoint, and this horse takes on, I think, the right winners. When you break your maiden for a tag, I think going into starter allowance is a big hurdle, but these 2 L's is the right spot, and 7-2 on this offspring of Bellamy Road. For second, BC Glory Days. I don't know if that's Boston College, but off back-to-back second-place finishes for Oscar. And for third, Life and Light, taking on winners for the first time after breaking the maiden on the Tapeta at Turfway Park, 8-4-6. As we learned last week, it was a couple years ago, they went from the synthetic to the Tapeta.
The Linda Rice meet, you talked about your bar graph last weekend. The bar graph must have gone right off the page.
It's become, we've had 2 in a month. Rob Atras, if you remember, about 5 weeks ago, had the 7, and then Linda Rice just made that look like child's play and eventually lost. But I tell you, I don't know what trainer it was, Seth, that I think it was Rudy, but I don't know it for sure, that really piqued my interest in how these 20% trainers are so mercurial in their operation to start that, because it's like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know who it was now. Orlando Noda.
Oh, yeah.
He was the guy that
poster
piqued
child,
my interest for, like, how does this happen? I don't hear about this guy for 3 months.
Cairo is the favorite as they
yes.
go in the gate. Odds, the American 25-1, 12-13. The other Americans, Tall Boys 15-1. Worcester for Bob Baffert at 12-1.
A lot of familiar silks for Americans.
So we will send them into the gate and send them off. We'll be back after the UAE Derby. Stay tuned.
It's not really local, although he's been running here quite regularly. So no, I don't think so. No, this could be a Japanese winner, I think.
Frankie from stall 11 and Worcester for Bob Baffert. How far forward is he going to get? How far across the track is he going to get? Is he going to make it really tight for everybody that's down inside him? He could well do.
Good practice for Frankie on country grammar. He's drawn out wide over just half a furlong further in the Dubai World Cup. Let's see what he does on Worcester. It'll be interesting.
It will be interesting because, of course, Worcester has never won before. He's had 3 runs, he's placed, but what a place it will be to break a maiden. It looks as if we're getting ready for the UAE Derby, the last couple coming forward. So it means it's time for us to head up to the commentary box once again and to Larry Colmus for this year's renewal.
10, and they're all in line.
Oh, dear.
They're off in the UAE Derby. It's not a good start for Worcester, who broke last, and Cairo goes immediately to the front, taken on by Derma Sotogake from the inside. These two have Dura Orede moving outside. Now it's Derma Sotogake and Dura Orede, the Japanese runners 1-2, while Cairo will settle just off of them. Then Continuar, followed by Perrier, who rides the rail. Break up another 2 lengths more, back to Ajis. His stablemate Tall Boy is 7 lengths off the lead. Then S. Utico. Worcester has moved out of last after not a very good beginning. And then comes Goraiko to the outside of Laresh. Go Soldier Go is the trailer, and the leader is Derma Sotogake. Up the backstretch they go. Derma Sotogake 3/4 of a length. Dura Orede is running in second. Continuar is alongside of Cairo. Their heads apart, third and fourth with 2 lengths to make up. Worcester has made steady progress on the outside of Mr. Raj. Then Ajis and Perrier on the inside. Tall Boy, S. Unico, and Laresh are next. They've got 6 lengths to make up as they move for the far turn. Then Go Soldier Go and Goraiko. It is Derma Sotogake on top as the field races for the far turn. Christophe Lemaire and Derma Sotogake by a neck. Dura Orede is second, Continuar is third, Japan 1, 2, 3. And their fourth 2 now as Perrier moves up on the inside, now starts to drop back, and Mr. Raj takes fourth. Cairo under heavy pressure now in fifth. He needs to do more as Japan leads the way to the top of the stretch. Derma Sotogake under a hand ride here. Coming down to the 8th pole in control. Dura Arede is second. Then comes Continuar in third, but it is Derma Sotagake and a confident Christophe Lemaire pouring it on late. Derma Sotagake, an impressive winner of the UAE Derby, winning it easily here by 5 or 6 lengths under the wire. Behind Countryman Dura Rede second, and then came Continuar in third. The final time was 1 minute, 55.81 seconds. A powerful performance by Derma Sotagake.
Japan won.
Also at a mile and 3/16, Dubai, their UAE
Japan.
Derby, Japan. They've just been internationally phenomenal over the past few years. Came out of a third last time at the in the Saudi Derby and wins.
I could be
pretty
wrong,
easily.
but it started at Del Mar, the Breeders' Cup, their reign of supreme, right?
Oh well, I think you're right.
And then
I think they're notable, yeah. And I'm just looking up 6-1, 6-1 on the winner. All right, you ready to jump in?
Yeah, I'll go quickly. We have our friend and colleague Dick Paul, I guess, at the top of the hour on Racing Across America with Seth. So,
are we at the fourth, or did we do the fourth?
we're on the fourth now because
fourth.
I can't try and beat all the favorites.
Allowance non-winners are one other than 6 furlongs the trip.
8-1-2, as I'll touch on the top spot facetiously. Can't Hurry Love. We did go for this even money favorite for David Duggan. Very sharp effort, 2 races back, and followed it up in open company, running very well. So Trevor McCarthy has the mount today. 8-1-2. I think Trust the Numbers will be a lower price in the second start for Chad.
And that may be a first. You've got the even money favorite on top, and I went with the Chad on top. So I'm trying.
I think when the betting's done, it might be.
I'm gonna.
It might be 7 to 5, 8 to 5.
Intrigued to see.
Yeah.
Actually, the fifth today at Aqueduct again. That claiming championship. This is the Stud Muffin starter allowance, a mile and 3/8.
Trust me, I wouldn't take Can't Hurry Love if I thought he was going to go to 3 to 5, but I think he's actually going to go up for the 5-1-7 here, locally owned. Gets my top pick. Tom Morley sends out this runner. The last race at a mile and 3/16, I think was run in a fashion that this mile and 3/8 you're going to see, which is just really the lope along races. So I want speed. Counterintuitive intuitive than when you're a little kid. You think Closer's good skate, who's 9 to 5 for the powerful Mike Maker barn, comes out of a good win, and Total Impact for Linda Rice. I don't like that running style going long. Maybe you should overtake him, but I want speed.
In the sixth at Aqueduct, we're looking at maiden specials. They will go the 1-turn mile.
I took a flyer in here, not only on price, but on like handicapping acumen, if you would. 9-5-4. Huntington gets my top pick. It's a Rob Atras firster. This is not the venue we think of Rob too often, but it's an Uncle Mo getting Lasix on debut. And this is a case where if he's live on the board, other people or whispers around the track are true. If he's dead on the board, I'll still take my chances. Bill Murray sends out the 5-horse in here, adding blinkers after just getting beat at 22 to 1. You're looking at 8 to 5. And then Moore's Law at 7 to 2 for Chad. 9-5-4 in the sixth.
Seventh race back to the claiming crown. Allowance race in the seventh. 3/4 of a mile. The name of this, the Dad's Caps.
9-4-1. Romantic Gamble gets my top pick. Ships in from Pennsylvania, ran at Parks, but more recently at Penn National. For second, Easy Day. Scott Lake, who we saw a couple years ago more often in New York, about a decade or more, comes off of an explosive starter allowance win at Penn, and then number 1, 7-4-1. And what I think is back-to-back very intriguing races at the Big A.
I'm with you there. I have that one on top. I wonder if we'll get that 12 to 1.
Well, I'm hoping Penn National helps us.
Yeah, and it probably will.
I think that it will. I think, as much as Park, certainly this time of year, kind of thinking, I think people think of Penn as a notch or two less high.
Eighth race, more claiming crown action. The Peeping Tom, we're going 6.5 furlongs.
Diane Nelson ride Peeping Tom, I think. 5-3-9. Ragtime Blues coming off of a victory, off of a freshening. comes right back at it. First off the claim out of the Linda Rice barn. That was February 12th, so we've had 6 weeks. For second, Glory Road comes off of a nice victory at 32,000 for the Linda Rice barn. And for third, number 9, Oh Trouble, comes out of a voided claim, has been going very well of late out of multiple barns, 539.
Race number 9 is the Sis City, another starter allowance on claiming championship day, 1 mile a trip.
She win the Kentucky Oaks?
That sounds right, actually. I mean, I don't
8,
know, but that's
6, 11. Because I forgot. I think was that a claim Asmussen to Dutcher or something like that. That was one of those more famous. Like, oops, 8, 6, 11. Dennis Lyman sends out the 8, making the second start since early December. Good race coming back. I thought going 7 furlongs, a nice tightener for today's 1 mile, which I think might have a softer internal fractions. For second, Movie Moxie, Linda Rice's runner, won a starter allowance 2 races back, then went into a 2X. And for third, number 11, going out, Tough Street for Chad Brown on a winning streak from the outside, 8, 6, 11.
You're right, Asmussen to Duthrow.
Yeah.
But she ran 4th in the Kentucky Oaks. Won the
Well,
Devona Dale.
Okay.
Won the Ashland.
The Ashland. So she won the prep. She was probably the big favorite in the loss. But yeah, that was one of those ones. Does it show where the claim? It might have been at the Spa.
The claim was at Saratoga.
Yeah.
The third start of the career, they dropped in for a maiden tag and won after a couple of off-the-board finishes and main specials.
This is where my mother said, I think you spend too much time around horses.
In the 10th and final at Aqueduct today, the More to Tell, another claiming championship race, and again at a mile.
7, 5, 10 in here. I'll just touch on Dust Devil. First off the claim for Gustavo Rodriguez. The race is 2 races back, though, going the mile off the fresh thing I liked. I've said this many times before, and I think it stands up. Off of a layoff or a career start and you run big, the muscle regression for me is a big thing. And it makes sense. You're like, and then I get that third race of a career or third race off of a cycle. I think I get more like the first race back. So that's it. The Big A. No technical stakes race, so they didn't put them on here. Dick Powell racing across America. You got the UAE Derby winner from Japan. See if he comes to the United States.
Got Scott Shapiro as well.
Yes.
We're going to talk some fairground stakes races also. So a little Dubai.
Well, he's got enough.
Fairgrounds.
Scott's got enough material to work.
Absolutely.
A great day of horse racing, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy, I guess, Seth, the next 10 hours of it while Fairgrounds goes at 8:05. He stays, I go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, by the way, have a great time down at the Florida Derby. I'm pretty sure you'll have great weather. I'll see you, I guess, in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Have a great day, guys.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.